I started running 5 years ago. A few months later, I decided to sign up for my very first marathon. There were quite a lot of factors that made me feel very overwhelmed when I made that decision. I was the mother of 2 beautiful boys at that time. I now have 4 children. I feared not finding the time to train, not being fit enough for the challenge. I feared not being able to do well. So when I received the official email from the Chicago Bank of America telling me that I was, in fact, selected to run the marathon, I nearly cried. I was excited. Yes, I was. But I was also very overwhelmed. It felt real, very real, and also very scary. So once I knew I was running my first marathon, I did not know where to start or what to do. How will I even begin to train? Will I be able to finish? Was I being an overachiever? Would it be possible to conquer 26.2 miles? Will my husband be on board? All these questions were on repeat in my mind for the next few weeks until I found out all about marathon training. No, it does not happen overnight. Yes, there was a plan that I needed to follow. And of course, there was tons and tons of advice as to how to tackle that intimidating distance. At the end, following my plan, I was able to finish very successfully my first marathon, and I am now an avid runner. Oftentimes, we tend to feel overwhelmed and lost when a new task is in front of us. It is normal to lose sight and not to know where to begin. Fortunately, there is always a plan that one can follow or a clear path that unveils itself. The same way that God will show us the way when He calls us to follow Him. When we are called to follow God, there may be a phase of uncertainty to follow a calling. It may be normal to stop and wonder, how will I even do that? In today's readings, we will find that God gives us a very clear plan, a very clear sense of direction as to what to do when He calls us to serve Him. On the first reading, we will also hear about God's love, a kind of love that is as tender as the love that a mother has for her newborn child. Both the first reading and the gospel have the common theme of rejoicing. In the first reading from Isaiah, the prophet says that God urges us all to rejoice with Jerusalem. God will bless her with prosperity. As a mother comforts her child, so will God comfort all in Jerusalem. In the gospel, a reading from Luke, Jesus appointed 72 of His disciples, whom He sent ahead of Him in pairs, with very specific directions on what to do. At the end, the 72 returned rejoicing that even the demons were subject to them because of Jesus' name. Now, it is important to mention that in the gospel, after giving very clear direction on what it is that all 72 sent in pairs need to do, Jesus warns them multiple times that this task will not be easy. In fact, He says that He is sending them like lambs among wolves. It will not be an easy task. However, we see that at the end, they followed the message. They followed the clear directions, and they return in their rejoicing. They rejoice knowing that God and God's name were able to get them to complete the mission, complete the task. So now let's pause and reflect on the theme of rejoicing. Perhaps in our society today, it may be easy to lose hope due to the numerous incidents of violence, hate, racism, injustices, just to name a few. How can we rejoice? How can we go out and follow Jesus and His calling? It almost seems impossible. How can we be like those 72 that were sent in pairs? How can we feel the promise of care and comfort that Jesus is promising us? However, now more than ever, we are called to follow Jesus. We are called to go out and cure the sick and share His message with others, with the current challenges that our society is facing. We are called, like the 72 were called, to go out like lambs amongst wolves and follow his plan. However, this ask is not an easy one. We will find those that will not be receptive to the message. We will make them, and they will make the mission very difficult. Our society is hurting, and the message of hope and rejoicing might not be an easy to receive. We need to follow a clear plan. Jesus' promise is clear. In both readings, he invites us to rejoice, to follow his plan, and to rejoice in his name. The way will be difficult, but we are not alone, and he will always comfort us like he comforts Jerusalem with a motherly love. Now more than ever, it is crucial that we hear the calling, that we hear the plan, that we go out there and do what is asked of us to do. Today, we will need to be the new missionaries, the new disciples, the new servants, and the leaders in today's hurt world. To go out like the 72 disciples, that return and rejoice, knowing that there will be challenges, but that in Jesus' name, we can successfully complete the mission. What is it to follow Jesus today? It means to be brave. When I found myself with the challenge of running 26.2 miles, I did not have a plan. Once I had a plan, I was able to conquer the challenge. Today, we are called to follow a very clear plan of being Jesus' disciples, with the promise that our God will comfort us like his children, and he will rejoice and we will rejoice as his followers and as his church.